Hello students. So herewith I am explaining the last part of module 5, that is instrumental methods of analysis and nanomaterials. So in this video lecture I will be discussing in detail about the concept of nanomaterials, that is mainly will be discussing about one of the synthesis method followed for the synthesis of nanomaterials, along with a few of the nanomaterials and their properties and applications. So in the previous video lecture already we have discussed about two different types of methods for the synthesis of nanomaterials, which can be followed very easily at laboratories, and that was one was Sol-Gel method, and the second method that we discussed, it was precipitation method. So in Sol-Gel method, where it involves the formation of solution of the metal, first step hydrolysis, followed by the formation of the metal network, that is the formation of gel. That reaction step involved is condensation, and finally the drying of the gel, followed by the calcination process to get the required nanomaterial form. And in the second method, that is precipitation method, it is mainly used for the synthesis of metal oxide nanoparticles, where we need to use the reagent, precipitating agent we need to add. First, the metal salt solution has to be dissolved in water, and the dissolved water, it exists in the form of its hydroxide. So then we need to add the base, sodium hydroxide or ammonium hydroxide. As you go on adding the sodium hydroxide, the OH minus ion concentration increases, and there will be formation of precipitate of the corresponding oxides of metal or the hydroxides of metal precipitate. So then the precipitate formed can be easily filtered, dried and calcinated to get the metal oxide nanoparticles easily. And here today we will be discussing about one more method, how we can synthesize nanomaterials, as well as how we can fabricate the nanomaterial, that is by chemical vapor deposition method or CVD method. And this, whatever the topic I have covered in this video lecture, it is related to page number 18 to 23 of the study material that is given to you under module 5, that is instrumental method of analysis and nanomaterials. So what is this chemical vapor deposition method? So this method is mainly involves the formation of nanomaterials from gas phase at elevated temperature. So we are depositing the materials on a substrate by sending the precursor in the vapor form inside the reactor. So here the gaseous precursors, they react to form a solid coating on a heated substrate. For the heating purpose we can use a laser source or plasma source, or maybe direct thermal heating also. And here we can get the coating of the nanomaterial, or in exact the nano powder material, or in the crystal form also. So it has got a wide range of application. It can be applied in various fields, like synthesis of carbon nanotubes also, or mainly for the fabrication of nanomaterials also. So not only for the synthesis part. And fabrication of nanomaterials like carbon nanorods or nanowires, even carbon nanotubes also, or the synthesis of graphenes can be done effectively using chemical vapor deposition method. Even in the semiconductor conducting industry, it is widely applicable for the coating of silicon materials and all at nanoscale. So here the precursor that we select, that can be a solid, liquid or gas at a normal ambient condition, but when we carry or when we send the precursor inside the reactor, it has to be in the form of vapor. So here the vapor is delivered inside the reactor and it is deposited on a heated substrate. So as you can see, this is a reactor where chemical vapor deposition method can be carried out. So here it involves the deposit of film through chemical reaction and surface absorption. So as you can see here, the gas inlet option is there along this is the deposition chamber. So we have three major components here. First one is gas supply deposition chamber, second one as deposition chamber, it is gas supply unit connected to the deposition chamber, followed by the exhaust system here, what you can see to expel the co-product or the gas outlet. So as you can observe here, first the gas precursor or the whatever the precursor we are taking, that has to be sent in the form of vapor inside the deposition chamber, and here the substrate surface, it gets deposited or absorption may takes place if you want to coat any film or nanowires etc. And suppose if you are going for the synthesis of nanotube, we can send the hydrocarbons through the gas inlet system in the form of vapors, and they get deposited as a carbon nanotubes on the substrate surface. And heating can be done with the direct thermal heating or by plasma heating also. So mainly first step is introduction of the gaseous precursor to the chamber, followed by decomposition by heat and or plasma also, and what happens next, the gas absorption by the substrate surface, the vapor gets absorbed on the substrate surface and reaction takes place on the substrate surface, and film is formed, and whatever the exhaust co-product volatile byproducts are formed, they are taken away from the substrate through the exhaust system. So this is a very simple procedure is followed here. First step, as you can see from the diagram, introduction of the gaseous precursor, next deposition of the gaseous precursor on the substrate surface. This substrate here, the reaction can be activated by plasma or direct heating also, and whatever the co-product is formed, volatile products are taken away from the substrate surface through the exhaust system. So this is about how the chemical vapor deposition method is used in nanomaterial synthesis, or it may be for the fabrication of the nanomaterial. And here energy source for deposition can be it can be through plasma or thermal, or even by supplying the laser energy or the photon radiation also. So mainly here specifically I mentioned for how the carbon nanotubes are deposited inside the chamber, reactor chamber. So here the carbon source is sent here through a carrier gas or inert gas. As you can see, usually hydrocarbons are used for the synthesis of carbon nanotubes. So we can synthesize graphene also. So here gas plus the precursor, or if the reaction requires any catalyst, that also we need to send it through the gas inlet system. And inside the chamber, what happens, this substrate surface is already heated or activated. It can be activated by the supply of plasma energy or thermal energy or laser energy, as you can see through the arrow mark here. So furnace, and inside this here chemical reaction takes place, and the gaseous vapor precursors that are sent, it gets absorbed on the surface, and how you can see the deposited carbon nanotube, and whatever the volatile gaseous products are formed, that is taken through this outlet. And you can see the condition for multi-walled carbon nanotube deposited through chemical vapor deposition method. So the temperature maintained is around 600 to 800 degrees Celsius, and you can see the hydrocarbon ethane is sent here. Carbon source taken is ethane, where you can see the carbon is deposited here. So this is how CNT is synthesized. So this can be used for the synthesis purpose as well as for the fabrication or coating of any substrate here. So if you want to coat the semiconducting material with the silicon wafers or polycrystalline silicon materials, which are very important in our semiconductor conducting industries. So we can go for this chemical vapor deposition method. So very simple principle here. The gas precursor is made to deposit on a solid surface, absorption phenomenon, and here you can see the heated substrate can be heated or activated by thermal energy or plasma source. So its advantages, mainly this process is very simple, and once the setup is done, then again it can be carried out for various nanoparticle synthesis, and it is economic also, and we can control the structure as well as the growth parameters of the nanoparticles, and the film that we deposit can have the required or desired thickness also, so we can control the condition effectively, and even this is used for the synthesis of carbon nanotubes and various other carbon sources like graphene also. So next we will be discussing about few of the nanomaterials. So first one is carbon nanotubes. So what is this nanomaterial? So we know the importance of nanotechnology. So these nanostructured materials may occur several different configurations. So they may exist in the form of rods or wires, or thin films or tubes, or maybe in the form of crystals or powder form, etc. So their property varies. They will have, each form will have its own unique property, and they are developed for various applications. So different forms will have specific application, and these few of the nanomaterials with the wide application and importance in the nanotechnology field will be discussing here. So first one is carbon nanotubes. So we abbreviate it as CNTs. You may be familiar with the term CNT. So CNT stands for carbon nanotubes. So here these are the allotropes of carbon with the cylindrical nanostructure. So carbon nanotubes are the allotropic form of carbon with cylindrical nanotubes. So we know what is allotrope. So allotropy is a property of an element to exist in two or more different forms. We know the carbon as a allotropy character. So it has various allotrope forms like carbon nanotubes, graphene, diamond, or dendrimers, fullerenes, etc. So where it differs with the structural geometry. So based on the structural geometry variation, each allotrope form will have different properties. So properties varies according to the structural configuration. So these carbon nanotubes, mainly they are categorized as single walled carbon nanotubes and multi-walled carbon nanotubes. So these CNTs with single walled nanotubes are abbreviated as SWNTS. So you can see this is a representation of single walled carbon nanotubes, and here it is a multi-walled carbon nanotubes layered. So usually these individual nanotubes, they naturally align themselves into a rope kind of form, and they are held together by some kind of attractive force, that is nothing but the van der Waals force. They form in the form of rope kind of forms. So also these nanotubes are members of fullerene family also. Their name is derived because of the nature of the structure. They have this tube kind of structure or hollow structure. So they are called as carbon nanotubes. So also the property can be varied with respect to the nature of the angle rolled. That also affects the property. So we can analyze how the structural configuration will influence the property of a material. So as you can see in single walled carbon nanotube, it is obtained by rolling a sheet of graphite, very simple, that is rolled graphite sheet. We call it as single walled carbon nanotubes, whereas multi-walled carbon nanotube, we can observe here it involves coaxial assembly also. So assembly of single walled carbon nanotubes result in the formation of multi-walled carbon nanotubes. So they have in terms of property, they have very high thermal conductivity as well as electrical conductivity, and even the mechanical strength, highly durable also, and high thermal stability and enhanced chemical reactivity. So they have unique mechanical property, and even the size also nano sized particles. So you can imagine how good application it has got because of its various properties with advantage. So here you can see how this graphene sheet is rolled up to get the single walled carbon nanotube. So mainly the application of these CNTs is mainly related to the electronic industry, where energy storage system it is used. Even the polymeric materials also, reinforced plastics, and because of their high conductivity they are used as a conducting material also, and mainly used in the electronic systems like RAMs, transistors, even ceramics, and it has got biomedical application also in the drug delivery system also. So next is about the fullerenes. So fullerenes is also one more form, allotropic form of carbon. We know the common allotropic forms, we are familiar, graphite and diamond, along with that fullerene. So they are made up of heating graphite in an electric arc. So these are synthesized by heating graphite in an electric arc in the presence of inert gas, and whatever the fumes or sooty fumes are formed, they are condensed to get carbon vapor, and these vapor mainly consist of two forms of fullerenes, that is C60 and C70 forms. So they have a cage like structure. You can see the structure which resembles a soccer ball. So this is also called as C60 fullerene form, is also called as Buckminster fullerene, which we are all familiar. So you can see the structure resemblance to a soccer ball here, and we can see mainly it contains 6-membered ring as well as 5-membered ring, 6 and 5-membered ring, and you can see no 5 members rings are continuously linked here. No 5 members rings are continuously linked. So it contains 26 membered ring. In C60 fullerene form, 26 membered rings are present and 12 5-membered ring. And always you can see the 6-membered ring is fused with the 6-membered ring or 5-membered ring. But if you observe 5-membered ring here, they can only fuse with 6-membered ring. So no two 5-membered ring will fuse with each other in the C60 fullerene form structure. And all the carbon atoms are sp2 hybridized here, you can see. So these are the carbon atoms which are sp2 hybridized. So each carbon atom forms 3 sigma bonds with other 3 carbon atom. As you can see, each carbon atom forms 3 sigma bond. 1, 2, 3. So the remaining electron is delocalized in the molecular orbital. So that is why it has an aromatic character here, because the electrons can be delocalized here. And main application of this fullerene is related in the field of optics, for optical filters, even in electronics field, used for molecular switches, transistors, and photoelectronic devices, and polymer based organic PVs, photovoltaics also it is used, and in medicinal chemistry field for the treatment of drug, HIV related drug delivery system also, even in the X-ray imaging and MRI technique. And it is as an antioxidant, and we can use it as a catalyst also for water purification processes. So this is about the application of fullerenes and about its structural features and importance. And last one is graphene nanomaterial. So you can see the various forms of allotropic forms of carbon here. So how fullerene has a cage like structure, and here this diamond also is an allotropic form of carbon. This is graphite. Graphite is nothing but layers of graphene sheet placed. So this is layers of graphenes form graphite. So just you can observe due to the structural change in the structural or the electronic configuration, how the physical property as well as the chemical reactivity of a compound changes and how it influences the property. So this is the structure of graphene. You can see the carbon continuously linked, and this is also a allotrope of carbon, and you can see it is existing in the form of 2D planar sheet kind of structure we can observe. So it consists of single layer, as you can see this here also I have represented single layer of carbon atoms arranged in the hexagonal lattice. You can see the hexagonal structure here, 6-membered. So each carbon atom is covalently bonded to 3 other carbon atom. As you can see, each carbon atom is bonded to 3 other carbon atom. If you consider this carbon, it is bonded to 1, 2, 3 carbon, and all the carbons are sp2 hybridized. So here one free electron per each carbon atom is there. So that is why each hexagon in the graphene sheet exhibits 2 pi electrons. So mainly because of this the electrons can be delocalized, so this acts as an efficient conduction of electricity. So that is why it has a very good electric property. So it has high electrical conductivity, and it can act as a semi-metal also. Because of this property it has a wide application. As you can see how graphene is a single layer, and multi-layered graphene we call it as graphite. So as I mentioned, it has excellent electronic conductivity, and also it has unique optical property also, and even the thermal conductivity is good. It finds application in thermal management systems, and it is the strongest material. It has high tensile strength also, so it has got applications in various electronic industries, semiconducting industries, etc., even in the solar field. So mainly it is flexible conductor, so it finds application in solar cell, even LEDs, touch screens, smart windows, etc., and also all the fundamental electronic devices we can see nowadays the application of graphene, that is the nanomaterial related to graphene, in case of capacitors, even transistors also, and it can be used as energy storage alternative devices, and biological and chemical sensors. It can act as a chemical sensor and biological sensor, and it finds application in the field of catalysis, and because of its high surface area and electronic property, so it can be used as effective catalyst also. So this is about the application of graphene as well as the properties of graphene, and as well as we discussed about carbon nanotubes and fullerenes, C60 and C70 form. In C60 form how the structural arrangement is observed, and even in graphene how it conducts electricity because of the availability of 2 pi electron which can be delocalized. So with this we have completed the concept of nanomaterials and properties of nanomaterial along with the synthesis part. So here these are the few important concepts that I have included discussed in the video related to module 5, that is instrumental method of analysis and nanomaterials. So here mainly the questions, the repeated questions or topics that is appeared in the semester examination is selected and summarized here. So mainly we have discussed about the theory, instrumentation and application of colorimetry, and also the theory, instrumentation, working of potentiometric titration. So these all the three methods we will be performing the experiment in the laboratory also. So they are related to your practical knowledge as well as theory knowledge can be enhanced easily here. So here colorimetry mainly it involves the recording of the absorbance, determination of concentration of colored solution can be done effectively here. In potentiometric titration involves the reading of the electromode EMF or the potential developed with respect to the concentration of the analyte based on the redox titration. And in conductometry method mainly to record the conductance of the solution which varies according to the concentration of the analyte or mobility of the ions. So acid base titrations can be effectively carried out by conductometry method, and the concentration of acid in the given mixture can be estimated effectively, as well as we have discussed about the principle and nature of reaction and the type of conductometric titration in 3 different cases. This is also an important concept, that is strong acid versus strong base and weak acid versus strong base, as well as mixture of acid versus strong base. And also we have discussed about the 2 spectroscopy technique, that is one was related to emission spectroscopy pattern, another one was absorption spectroscopy. So atomic absorption spectroscopy and flame emission photometry we have discussed. So in both the cases where it involves the solution is sprayed through the nebulizer near the atomizer. So in flame photometry we use only the flame source for the atomization process as well as for the excitation of the element or the metal. So here it involves the observance with respect to the metal's atom form. So that is why atomization, atoms are formed, molecules are decomposed to atoms here. So the atoms will absorb the energy supplied from the flame and they get excited to higher energy state, and then they get revert back to the ground state by eliminating the excess energy, and the eliminated or the emitted radiation is recorded. That is the major principle behind flame photometry. Whereas in atomic absorption we will be dealing with the amount of radiation absorbed by the atoms in the ground state. It is not related to the excited state. So that is a major difference between AES technique and flame photometry. And also coming to the nanomaterials, we have discussed about the importance of nanomaterial and how it has more advanced properties compared to normal bulk materials because of the surface area volume ratio and as well as because of the difference in the electronic energy levels. And we have discussed 3 important methods for the synthesis of nanomaterials. First one was by Sol-Gel method and precipitation method and chemical vapor deposition method. Sorry, this is deposition method. And also we have discussed about a few of the nanomaterials, that is carbon nanotubes, graphenes and fullerenes, and their applications in various fields. So thank you all.